Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Thank you all very much for tuning in. And in this video, I'm excited to share with my subscribers my top 10 favorite tobacco fragrances of all time. These are fragrances that I've had in my collection for a long time now. Some of them are more recent acquisition than others, but these are fragrances and I absolutely love the note of tobacco. Tobacco, I just think there's something that is very sophisticated about it. It exudes this sort of smart, sophisticated, intelligent quality about it. And maybe it's just because of the people that I associate with the note of tobacco. Whatever the case may be, I'm here to share with you guys niche fragrances, designer fragrances, perhaps even some indie fragrances that all fall within that category of my favorite tobacco fragrances. And first things first, I just want to thank you guys for tuning into my channel, for watching my content and supporting what I do. Now, I do have one honorable mention in this video. It's a fragrance that it's actually one of my favorite fragrances of all time. If you watch any of my fall lists, you know that this fragrance usually comes in at #1. And the reason why I put it towards the back of the reason why it hasn't even made the list is because I don't really get a lot of tobacco in it. I mean, yes, it's a note, it's in there, but I think the more dominant notes in this fragrance are like the sweetness, the cinnamon, the pink pepper, and a lot of the other spices in here. Anyways, you might have heard the little pin rattling. It is Spice Bomb by Viktor and Rolf. I love this fragrance. It's one of my favorites of all time. I would even rank it #1 on my fall list. The only problem with this is that I don't get a lot of tobacco, but tobacco is listed as a note. So I just figured to myself, in all fairness, I ought to include it in here as well. So let's go ahead and start things off with my number 10. And my number 10 is a fragrance that there was a recent change. So what happens is there's a sister company to this brand and it's called Costamor, and they had a fragrance called Tobacco, and I believe that fragrance is discontinued now. I could be wrong, but the sister brand took over that same scent and they added it to their line of fragrances. They had 2, now they have 3, and this one is by a company called Frank Los Angeles. The scent goes by the name Frank number 3. This is a phenomenal scent, guys. If you haven't tried this one, a lot of you, I'm sure, have tried Costamor's Tobacco. It's the same exact scent. This one is this sort of grape, boozy, sweet. It has an apple note in here, kind of like a caramelized apple. Some aldehydes in here, kind of reminiscent of Escada Magnetism. So imagine a sexier version of Escada Magnetism with tobacco. It is to die for. Definitely number 10 on my list. You can actually find this one on Lucky Scent. Lucky Scent carries it. All right, moving on. This one, listen, no introduction. Pure Havane, Angelman Pure Havane by Thierry Mugler. Fantastic tobacco-based scent. I am a fan of all of the Amens. I have been wearing Angelman for a long time now, since I was actually in high school. So for more than 10 years, I have been wearing the original. Pure Havane is such a solid addition. Number 8 on my list is a scent that I was actually wearing the day that I proposed to my now wife, then fiance, I guess. And I was actually wearing the weaker concentration of this, the Eau de Toilette. The Eau de Parfum is that much better. This one, guys, is Dolce & Gabbana, the one. Eau de Parfum, what an amazing scent. It's a little sweet, it's ambery, it has a lot of warmth to it, but a really nice designer tobacco that is not overwhelming. Number 7 on my list is one that is a little bit overwhelming. Guys, I just have to call a spade a spade. If you are gonna look into this one, this is one of the heavier hitters. It is not for the faint of heart. This one by Eau d'Italie is called Bois d'Ambry, Umbrian Woods. It has cognac, it has rum, it has some boozy notes. It also has tobacco. It's made by one of my favorite perfumers, Bertrand Duchaufour. He's done Sartorial by Penhaligon's, Enchanted Forest by the Vagabond Prince. I mean, he has a really impressive resume. Jubilation 25 by Amouage. The list goes on and on. Number 6 on my list is a newer one. I guess you can classify this as indie. The perfumer was a longtime writer for Fragrantica. He's actually published a couple of his own books. I've spoken to him online a few times. His name is Daniel Barros, and that's also the name of his perfume company or perfume endeavor. This one is called Tobacco Cognac. So it's a combination of 2 words, tobacco and cognac, and this one is called Tobacco Cognac. Incredibly amazing, natural, powerful scent. Beautiful boozing nuances mixed with a really moist, natural smelling tobacco note. Really well done here. Very, very impressed. The next one on this list has also made a previous list of mine, and this one is by Piotr Zarnecki, and it's called Sensei. One of the things that I love about this scent, and you can tell that it has some wooden elements to it, in addition to this moist sort of cherry flavored tobacco that's very realistic and very organic in smell, it also reminds me of the humidor that the tobacco would be stored in, or that the cigar would be stored in. What an amazing scent. This, I believe, is actually the older concentration. It has 3 sprayers on it. Why? Because it has 3 different concentrations. There's eau de toilette, eau de parfum, then there's extrait de parfum. I'm equally low on all of them. Fantastic scent by Piotr Zarnecki. So we're getting into some really powerful fragrances here. These are my top 4. Really, at any given day, it's hard for me to say that I love one more than the other, but let's just go ahead and get into it. Number 4, by Serge Lutens, it's called Chergui. And with this one, it has a powdery vibe, powdery vibe to it. There's this note of hay that I think a lot of people talk about, very iconic to the fragrance's composition. It's a really wonderful, wonderful interpretation of the note of hay. It has some ambering nuances in the background. This is one of the few fragrances, every time I smell it, I just think about the fall season, and even that much more of a reason for me to break it out. Next one on this list is one that it would be a shame if anybody made any top tobacco list and not mention this fragrance. Even more so my number 2, but let's talk about my number 3. This one by Parfum de Marly is called Herod. This is such a sweet vanillic, and it has a really warm vanilla base, but the tobacco in this, again, one of the most natural that I've ever smelled. It's not as realistic as this one, where it's more unilateral, almost kind of like a soliflor, like it's the only, and I know tobacco flower, in reality it is a flower or an herb, whatever you want to call it, but this one has a lot going on in the background. Beautiful scent, one of my favorites for the fall. I know I'm going to be wearing this one a lot. Getting into my number 2, this one, definitely, if you're making a tobacco list, this better be number 1, better be number 2. It better at least be in the top 3. This one by Tom Ford is called Tobacco Vanille. And this one smells the most like a moistened, damped, sort of pipe tobacco, and it has that vanilla nuance, but the vanilla is spicy, and I think that's what really gives this character one of the most, I guess you can say, sultry, seductive, sophisticated fragrances that I have in my collection. I think the sweetness adds a lot of sensuality to it. Again, with all of these fragrances, if you are interested in picking them up, I am going to be leaving links down below. For some reason, if a lot of these fragrances, you know, the price is just a little too high for you, I completely understand. I am going to leave a link to a website down below. It's called scentsplit.com. They have all of these fragrances in really affordable decants. But number 2 is Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. And getting into my number 1 fragrance, again, this fragrance has been at the top of many of my lists. I actually did a top 5 tobacco list in the past. This fragrance, you already guessed it, was number 1 on my list. So without hesitation, I am going to reveal what it is. It's by Eau de Parfum, and it's called Creation E. It also goes by the name Enigma. And this one is a more animalistic, meaning it contains animal notes. I believe it's Castorian. It's a more animalistic version of this fragrance, but it also has a vanilla base, similar to a lot of these. This one is probably the most natural tobacco smell out of all of these. I cannot go through fall without wearing this scent. And as a matter of fact, my good friend Freddie, who also reviews here on YouTube, a while ago, he threw a party at his house. It was kind of like a birthday celebration, and it was a Cuban themed party. So he, you know, a lot of people showed up, and he had cigars for everyone. And I remember thinking to myself, I want to wear what I would consider my top tobacco scent. Coincidentally, I also bought this fragrance from him. So I bought it from him, went to his party wearing the same scent, and listen guys, this scent is fantastic. Every time I smell it, I just think of tobacco. Could be because of the occasion, could be because it just simply contains tobacco. Fantastic scent, super expensive too. So if you guys are interested in checking any of these fragrances out, I am gonna leave links down below, guys. Once again, I wanna thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, but I wanna ask you guys, what is your favorite tobacco scent? Let me know, leave a comment down below. Lastly, please don't forget to subscribe for future videos, top 10s, giveaways, unboxings, and a lot of other fragrance related content. So remember, I smell well so you can smell good, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.